Previously, Lucile chose to be a healer in a world where almost all of the healers are corrupted, so Lucile decided to use his powers to heal others at a cheap rate, which screwed up Bataculi's healing business. So Fatso lost his temper and reported all lies about Lucile to Healers Guild, that Lucile is the corrupt healer and charges absurd amount of money for healings. And because of that, Lucile got a transfer orders to work on the main headquarters of the Healers Guild. So Lucile said his heartfelt goodbyes to all of his friends and potential 4 girlfriends to travel to the holy city Shurul with Bazan and his friends. So as the story continues, Lucile arrives to the holy city of Shurul, but first they visit the Adventurers Guild and meets Milty. Bazan wanted to meet the guild master, so Milty calls him out. There Lucile introduced himself as a healer, which shocks every adventurer. There Lucile orders 3 barrels of Substance X, and no one in the room could believe what they just heard. So Milty confirmed it second time. What Lucile ordered is really the Substance X. Lucile confirms it, so Master gives him that trash to see if Lucile could actually handle it. So Lucile chugs it down easily, and other people recognized he's the legendary masochistic healer who drinks this trashy drink to become powerful. Lucile had become a legend to actually drink this dump, so he got his order of 3 barrels and then arrives at the church where Bazan's job was done to escort Lucile safely. So they left to get back to Maritoni, and then Lucile consults with the receptionist in the church about his transfer orders, so they called out Granhard, who issued this order. Garnhard leads him through a secret door from behind the counter that leads to a magical lift to the upper floors, but there he meets Lumia again. Lumia didn't forget about Lucile, so she told him to drop by her room to catch up after he finishes his job with Granhard. Then Granhard leads Lucile to a torture room, which leads to another secret room to interrogate about the report he got about price manipulation of healing. So Lucile explained everything down to the notch about Bataculi and his human trafficking business he's running behind the scenes. Granhard took note of it and gave Lucile a letter of appointment. It states that, from now on, Lucile will work as an exorcist and will be paid 20 gold coin. Lucile started to droll just listening to his pay amount and forgot about everything. Then Lucile gets to Lumina and told her how he got transfer order. Then he tells her he's now gonna work as an exorcist to clear out the labyrinth, but Lumina warned him about the dangers that's inside the labyrinth. That killed several members of the church, but Lucile was fully ready to go. Then Lumina tells him about the undead, so Lucile got scared he would also turn into one after they bites him. So Lumina tells him some zombies does have poison, but they won't turn someone zombie, but the stench comes from them is the meaning of true horror. But Lucile doesn't have a problem because he drinks the dump of a Substance X every day. Then Lumina sends him with big bright smile. Then, Granhard introduced Lucile to his instructor, Jord. They gave him the badge and robe of a healer that cost 10 platinum coins and a magic card with which he can use magic elevator. Then Jord took him to the labyrinth and Lucile understood the warning of stench. There Jord showed Lucile to use purification on undead and collects the magic stone from them to exchange at the store. So then Jord runs away to leave this stinky place immediately. Then Lucile gets to his new job but gets scared the moment he sees those zombies. He starts to remember every god to use in purification and burn them up. Then he thought his level might rise after defeating some real monster, but he's still stuck at level 1. So Lucile was cranky to beat up some more monster to level up and continues to the second floor, where he collects some more zombie stones and takes a break with a nice lunch with a trashy drink. That drink is too absurd that no monster dared to come closer to him. Then later on, Lucile was near another heart attack seeing the bone mob, so after beating them up, he had enough for one day and returns back to the ground. After that, Jord took Lucile to the shop and called out Catilia, the shopkeeper. There Lucile exchanged his items and got 4,000 points in a single day. So Lucile wanted to buy some spellbook, but it cost 1,000,000 points, which is impossible for him. So Lucile chose to get some weapons, and since Lucile was a fresh meat, Catilia gives him a little discount, so he chose to take a sword and a spear for dual welding. Then Lucile was humming down the hallway in happiness for getting a nice deal, but Granhard gave a surprise to him. He tells Lucile about his payment that gets deposited into his account, which he can check from the receptionist. Then he gives Lucile his cleric robe with a lifelong lecture before leaving. Then the next day, Lucile tries out his new equipment in the labyrinth. He defeats some zombies, gets a drop item from them, and got the points of 5,000 this time. So Catilia told him not to rush in labyrinth and put his life in danger. But Lucile still went further into the labyrinth and defeated the monsters like it was a walk in the garden. Then after some time, Lucile created a map of the labyrinth to collect some more extra points. Then in the 10th day Lucile reached to the door of the floor boss, but he didn't enter that day. He goes back and bought new equipment worth of 50,000 to challenge this boss fight to receive a sweet bonus. Then, he enters the room and the fire shows him a mob of undeads. But this time his magic got sealed, so Lucile takes the only option of defeating them with his blade, but after defeating them the real boss showed up. It's a white this time and Lucile kept his distance and observed that he's dodging his attack, so right when the white was about to cast a spell, Lucile made that into a chance and attacks him. But he had regeneration powers, so he grabbed his spear and pins him out with that. This time Wei couldn't regenerate and Lucile won, so he goes to exchange that weight item. But Catilia turns pale and gets angry at Lucile for being so reckless to pick a fight with the boss, but she calmed down realizing it was Lucile's job to kill undead. So he showed the robe of that weight and Catilia suddenly told Lucile to follow her with those items in a hurry. She directly took Lucile to have a talk with the Pope. She told him what Lucile brought back with him, so Pope examined herself and recognized the items and wanted to buy them from him. Catilia gives a third degree with those eyes to tell Lucile to accept the offer, but Lucile was a businessman in his previous life. So he used that silver tongue to ask for a magic bag with a larger capacity to bring back more items, so instead of a magic bag, Pope offered him a magic sack that has the size of the entire room inside so that Lucile could explore the labyrinth and bring back more items like this. Lucile stuck a deal with the Pope with whom no one thinks of raising even a slightest bit of voice, so Catilia was impressed from him. But, with that episode 7 to 8 comes to an end, but stay tuned to watch more of the newly air episodes of this anime. For that subscribe the channel and press the bell icon.